Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're uncapping the absolutely wild history of two of the world's most famous sodas. And believe me, it is a story that has it all: addiction, total desperation, and a pretty shocking wartime twist that connects these two drinks forever.
Okay, so this sounds like the setup for a really strange joke, doesn't it? But the answer actually ties all three of these things to one of the most recognizable brands on the entire planet. Let's dive in. So, our story doesn't start in some fancy modern boardroom. Nope. It starts back in a 19th century pharmacy with a Civil War veteran named John Pemberton, who was, and this is key, desperately trying to cure his own pretty serious addiction. See, Pemberton had gotten addicted to morphine after being wounded in the war. And to fight that, he created this potent elixir as an alternative. And in Atlanta, it was a massive hit. It was marketed for its, let's just call it vitality. His original formula, this mix of wine and, yes, coca leaf extract, was a real success. But a huge legal change was right around the corner, and it was about to change everything for him, and honestly, for the rest of the world. Right, so in 1886, Georgia passed prohibition laws. Literally overnight, Pemberton's super popular alcoholic tonic was made completely illegal. He had to pivot, and he had to do it like yesterday. So while he's scrambling to make a non-alcoholic version, his new syrup gets accidentally mixed with carbonated water at a local pharmacy, and just like that, a brand new drink is born. It was actually his accountant, a guy named Frank Robinson, who came up with that iconic name and the flowing script logo we all know today, Coca-Cola. Now, here's the sad part. John Pemberton died of stomach cancer before he ever got to see his creation become a true phenomenon. The guy who would eventually build the empire was a wholesale medicine dealer by the name of Asa Candler. For just $2,400, which is an absolute pittance, right? Candler bought the entire company. And with that tiny investment, he almost immediately proved that he was an absolute marketing genius. Candler's system was built for explosive growth, and it's a playbook that brands still copy today. Give out free samples to get people hooked, slap your brand on absolutely everything so it's inescapable, and then create a bottling system that lets you scale across the whole country, which they did by 1895. To fight off this whole army of copycat colas, the company commissioned a bottle so unique, so distinct, that you could recognize it by feel in the dark, or even if it was smashed into pieces on the ground. I mean, that just shows you how committed they were to iconic branding right from the start. Then this guy, Robert Woodruff, comes along, and he's the one who takes the brand truly global. He wasn't just selling a drink. He was weaving Coca-Cola into the very fabric of American culture. He invented the six-pack. He's the reason we think of Santa Claus as a jolly guy in a red suit. It's all from their ads. And get this, during World War II, the company supplied over 5 billion bottles of Coke to the military. This single decision was monumental. It made Coca-Cola a symbol of home for soldiers, and, at the same time, introduced the entire world to its taste. So at this point, Coca-Cola seems like this unstoppable, global force, right? But it's about to run headfirst into a world war that would completely sever all contact with its booming operations over in Germany. So the head of Coca-Cola Germany, a man named Max Keith, was now totally on his own. After the attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941, that secret syrup from the US was completely cut off. He was facing an absolutely impossible crisis. With zero access to the secret formula, Keith had to get really, really creative. He was forced to use only the leftover ingredients, the scraps that were available in wartime Germany. We're talking things like whey, the liquid leftover from making cheese, and apple fibers from cider presses. He challenged his team to use their fantasy, that's German for imagination, to come up with a name for this new hodgepodge drink. And one of his salesmen just immediately blurts out, Fanta. And, well, the name stuck. And it worked. They were selling over 3 million cases a year. The strange kind of yellowish drink was a massive success. I mean, with no other sodas available, it got so popular that people actually started using it as a sweetener for their soups and stews when sugar got really scarce. So what do you think happened after the war? You'd probably expect Coca-Cola to punish Max Keith for, creating a rival product. But nope. They were so impressed with his ingenuity and how he kept the business afloat that they promoted him to oversee all of Coca-Cola's operations in Europe.
So you can see right here how their histories just collided. Fanta was born out of pure necessity back in 41, but it actually wasn't until 1960 that the Coca-Cola company officially acquired its own wartime creation. And that's what brought these two beverage giants together under one roof. What's so fascinating is that even today, their origins really define their strategies. Coca-Cola, for the most part, maintains this single, standardized identity all over the world. But Fanta, it completely embraces its adaptable, scrappy roots, with over 90 different flavors worldwide. When you get right down to it, both of these iconic brands are a real testament to adaptation. One was born from a moment of medical desperation, the other from the pure chaos of war. They're proof of how a little bit of serendipity and some really clever marketing can create a global family. So the next time you grab a soda, just remember it's wild, improbable journey to get to you. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other incredible stories are hiding behind the labels of the other things sitting in your fridge right now?